In a speech worthy of Abraham Lincoln. Let's play hardball.
A speech worthy of Abraham Lincoln. Now, taking nothing away from Obama, does it at all deserve to be raised to that height?
Not at all. These people really do live on another planet. There are two Americas. There's the America where we don't buy the kind of racial rationalization that Obama was peddling today, and there's the America where that sees Obama as some sort of Christ-like figure. I mean, to compare him to Abraham Lincoln when he's standing by this race-based rancor, I really don't know what planet these people are on, John. I really don't.
And there's one more thing, if you'll bear with us just slightly. They dragged Sally Quinn out of some crypt someplace, Ben Bradley's wife, who used to be the darling of the media, and she also proclaimed this to be the greatest series of utterances that we have seen in 50 years.
And we shouldn't be angry at each other. We should be angry at the system. And we've got to come together in order to get rid of our anger.
Is that what he was saying, that we should be angry at a system? Or was he excusing the anger of his compatriot, the pastor, who was clearly angry at the country and at white people?
The latter, John, of course. Even as he was denying that he was justifying and excusing rights demagoguery, that's exactly what he was doing. Did you hear the whole litany and laundry list of reasons why we're supposed to understand the roots of the anger, everything from slavery to Jim Crow to segregated schools to violence in the inner city? I mean, he tossed everything in there, but the kitchen sink even mentioned denial of access to FHA mortgages. All of this is supposed to explain why he said nothing while his pastor for 20 years was spewing stuff from the pulpit about how we should damn America, that this is a giant of racial healing rhetoric. It was self-serving rationalizations masquerading as moral salvation.
Did Obama pull it off, though? Is his speech going to be so inspirational and viewed as so fabulous that he really is going to put the right controversy and the doubts about Obama himself in his rearview mirror?
Maybe in cable TV green rooms and Manhattan salons, but I've got to imagine that, your lunch bucket Democrats, the kind of people who are going to be voting in the April 22 primary in Pennsylvania, are not the kind who are going to be swooning over supposedly soaring rhetoric, when the bottom line is this guy did not disown himself from somebody who believes that we are to blame for 9/11, that our government spread the AIDS virus. I can't imagine that's going to go over very well with normal, sane Americans, John. I hope not. If it does, we really are as screwed as Jeremiah Wright thinks.
Well, what you're hearing a lot of black people say, and not all, but a lot are saying, gee, I'm surprised all of you non-African Americans are so surprised at what goes on in the black church. This goes on in black churches everywhere. I think that's going to be a surprise to many Americans, that as we have moved forward with racial conciliation in this country, there have been these backwaters of bitterness and racism that are not white people, but black.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. I'm hearing that on the airwaves, and I'm seeing some folks show up on TV who say, this is really not something that you people understand. It's a different language, and even Obama talked about that a little bit. How this is part of the. It's actually a very demeaning. If I were a black person, a very demeaning way of talking about black churches. Well, you just don't understand. They speak a different language, and they've got a different sense of racial grievances and historical sensibilities that the rest of us don't share. Wait a minute. This is the opposite of the transcendent assimilationist message that Obama has been riding on for the entirety of his campaign. Now he's going to go back and say, well, black churches are different from, black churchgoers are different from the rest of us. Nonsense. I've been in black churches. I grew up in South Jersey, and, my mother worked in a minority public school district. most ordinary, law-abiding, America-loving black people do not sit in a pew and listen to what was spewed by Jeremiah Wright and sit there and think it's okay for their young children to be exposed to this stuff.
Michelle, I want you to listen. One more thing from Chris Matthews.
This is the kind of speech I think first graders should see, people in the last year of college should see before they go out in the world. This should be, to me, an American track, something that you just check in with now and then, like reading Great Gatsby and Huckleberry Finn. Read this speech once in a while, ladies and gentlemen. This is us. It's us with the scab ripped off. It's white people talking the way they do when they're alone with other white people, some people. It's black people talking the way they are when there's no white people around. It's an honest statement from a guy who comes from both backgrounds. We have never heard anything like this.
Have we ever heard anything like this, Michelle?
Well, I hear stuff like this all the time, for example, on college campuses. You know, we hear this stuff from Ward Churchill. We heard a lot of this stuff from left-wing America haters after 9/11. We hear a lot of this stuff from very wealthy black rap artists who feed off of and live off of and exploit silly liberal white guilt. We hear this stuff all the time. You know, you want to talk about racial reconciliation, you want to talk about, you know, great literature and great thinking and philosophizing about race. Yes, read Huckleberry Finn. Put Obama's speech in the trash can. That's where it belongs.
Michelle Malkin, thanks very much. MichelleMalkin.com. And, of course, the indispensable hotair.com. Check it out.
Now, take Gibby with you. Get the Gibson Radio podcast at GibsonRadio.com. You can even subscribe so you don't miss a day. That's GibsonRadio.com and click on podcast.